Welcome to Lipstick and Legacy, a podcast where your story matters and your journey has purpose. Together we lift and inspire our communities, one story at a time. Welcome, Michelle.
Hello.
Today we have Michelle Blanchard, and I would like to say the theme of this episode, after looking over her bio, is Stronger Together, Building Unity Through Service.
Yes.
I felt like that was a really good theme. So, Michelle, we were just talking about this. You are a fifth generation Nevadan.
Yes. My family's been here for a very long time on both sides, my mom and my dad's side.
So that is incredible. I'm fourth generation, and my kids would be fifth generation, and that is almost an unheard of anomaly, yes. I guess, out here in the West.
Yes, most people are transplants. So when they hear that I grew up here, they're like, what? Yeah.
Yes, I know. I talk to women and they're like, oh, I've been here since 2016. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, you're not old school, I promise. What was it like growing up here in Las Vegas?
I love Las Vegas. This is my home. I love the community here. I feel like even though it's a huge city and our school district is huge, it's still like a close-knit community. And, you know, you end up meeting people and they know someone, and it's like a family. It's a family here. And I love that it's really mixed with different religions and ethnicities, and a lot of people from different parts of the world and all over the country. They're transplants here. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love the mix of people.
So do you have a childhood memory of living in the desert that really stands out to you?
Actually, yes. So because it's the desert, it floods here. We have flash floods. And now, you know, they've built these underground tunnels to make it so the water drains and it doesn't flood. But when I was growing up, we didn't have those. So when it rained, it would flood. And so we had billboards and there were advertisements. And I remember, you know, they would say, you know, this is in the life raft. And it showed people floating down the street on the car or whatever. But we actually did do that. We would get inner tubes and we would float down the street when it would rain. And it was feet mm-hmm. deep. Yep. And we would just go tubing down the street, and we loved it.
So we did that too, and we called it Lake Lindell because I was raised on Lindell and Sahara. And people don't realize in the desert, there's these natural waterways that kind of develop when it rains, and there's homes that have been built in those natural waterways. Yep. And so it's really interesting. Those streets fill up like dry water beds. Yes. Those are really great memories. Tell me a little bit about your family. You're a wife, a mother of 4. And how has motherhood influenced the way that you serve?
So first about my family.
Yes.
So I am a wife. My husband's name is Deloy, and he grew up in the inner city of Seattle. So we had similar backgrounds, childhoods, but also different. Being in the city, different income, different atmosphere that he grew up in. So we brought 2 different things to the table when we came together. And we have 4 kids. My oldest is gone out of the house. He's in college. And my second is about to leave in 4 months. And that has put me in a different phase, different emotions, different, you know, mm-hmm. It's a whole different ballgame than having little kids. And then I have a freshman in high school and then 1 little girl who's a 5th grader.
Oh, nice. And how does that shape the way that you serve? Why do you feel like having a family motivates you to serve in our community?
I think one of the biggest reasons why I like serving and I like to have my kids see me serve is because nowadays kids struggle. You know, depression, anxiety, apathy. You know, they're just bombarded with online, the things they see online, and the world seems heavy to them. And so I feel like serving in the community will help my children. I think them just watching that and then them participating with me when they come, it opens their eyes to a whole different perspective. Mm-hmm. And then it puts their problems and their worries in perspective. And so hopefully they'll realize how grateful they should be, even though they do have hard things and they do go through trials. But when they see the need in the community and others' situations, you know, hopefully they'll think, you know, life will go on if I didn't make the team. Mm-hmm. Or I might not feel popular at school or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they'll just be able to think, you know, there's kids downtown who don't have a family, or, you know, there's people that don't have food. And so,
yeah, I feel like kids who live in, middle upper class. They have different problems than maybe a child who's homeless or don't have their immediate needs met. And so it always makes them more grateful for the things that they do have, which I think is a really great lesson for kids to learn. When you think about the values your family passed down through 5 generations here, what stands out the most? What's a thread?
Yes, lots of things. Service for sure. My mom's parents, Barry, his name's Barrett, that's my my last son's name, that's who he's named after. Barrett and Joyce Wasden are my mom's parents, and they served endlessly. I can't remember exactly, but they had something like 35 people live in their home with them, of all different walks of life, all different ages, kids who didn't have a home, people who had lost their job and were just down and out and needed a hand, kids that were just on their own and didn't have support. Anyways, the stories at their funeral of people that came that we didn't even know, that said, I lived with them for a year, I lived with them for 5 years, and they helped me get back on my feet. It's such an inspiration.
So that's been handed down to you. I think that might be like a generational thing. We always had people living at our house when I was growing up. Now I just have my older adult children coming back, but we always had random people I don't even know why now looking back. So I think that's maybe a generational thing.
It's funny when you're a kid, you don't even really think about it. That there's somebody in the house, you don't think what that entails.
Yes.
But then once you're a woman, a mom, you're like, wow.
Yes.
What my mom was doing behind the scenes to make that happen, the extra laundry, the cooking, the cleaning, the extra drives to drive someone somewhere that needed help. Wow.
So it says here that you grew up and dancing and performing at a very young age. How does that shape you into the things that you're doing today? Did that have any influence on you?
Yeah, I think I got to meet a lot of people and different people. We all were different, but we liked dance and performing. And so I think that taught me to just love meeting people. And I do. I genuinely love to meet people and talk to people and get to know them and find dance was our common ground, even though we were from different walks of life. And I think it's the same, even though it might be somebody's a different religion or, whatever it is, but I just love meeting people and talking to people.
It says here that you danced at Brigham Young University, which is BYU. What was that experience like? Were you on a dance team? I know that's a really high level experience. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah. So in high school, I danced at a studio and we competed all over and performed and I love dance, and I had a dream of going to New York or LA, and my mom, in her wisdom, said, you just have to do a year at BYU, go to college, and then you can go pursue your dreams or whatever. And I was a huge BYU fan anyways. It's in our blood. So I went up to BYU, I got a dance scholarship, and I performed with their folk team up there because that's who gave me my scholarship. And it's a wonderful school. I love that school. And I think the best thing about BYU is that they teach, no matter what you're getting a degree in, it could be the arts, medicine, engineering, whatever it is, how are you going to take this and go out into the community and serve? Go forth and serve is their motto. And so even their dance program, they would use that to go out and teach people about God or teach people about, loving one another. And so
I love that. So they really carried that message outside of just the university. It's like, here you've learned these things, now go and take them and do something with them. And I love that. You spent time teaching dance and helping direct events. Did you realize at the time that your early experiences and these experiences were preparing you for leadership roles?
Not at all. No, I didn't think twice about it. Yeah, I would just, I got asked, and it's funny, looking back, when you asked me to do this interview, I started thinking about all the different things, and I had kind of forgotten that my freshman year at BYU, I was in an advanced ballet and jazz class, and there was this girl in there, and she ended up approaching me. And she said, hey, I do some community service at this low-income school here in, I think it was in Orem. And she was getting married and moving on out of town. And she's like, I just want somebody to take over. And she's like, I've been watching you, and I think you'd be really great. I'm a poor student. I needed money, but it was just a volunteer thing. But it just kind of piqued my interest. So I was like, okay. So I went to this low income school in the community and it was an after school program for, parents that were still at work and the kids were there. And I got to go teach them dance. And it was so fun. But looking back now, it was just this little thing I didn't think much about. I did it for a few months my freshman year at BYU. And now I'm like, you know what? That kind of lit a little seed, a little fire, planted a little seed and little things like that, looking back, I'm like, oh yeah. And directing plays and little things for churches. And when we were in grad school in the Bay Area, they asked me to help direct a road show for all the youth there in the Bay Area. And I just thought, oh, this is because my dance background, but now helping put on big, large scale community events, all those things did help me, learn how to manage people and work with people and see a need. And
I think that's really interesting how when something is meant to be our work, our life's work, and when we think about our life's work, it's what we do with purpose, right? Is our life filled or is our life filled with purpose? And I feel the same way. I remember being in college at Southern Utah University, and I was very young. I might have been 19 years old, and I was the young women's leader. And I remember interviewing them. And I remember loving doing it. And I was thinking about that the other day as I was doing one of these interviews. I'm like, it's funny how God gives us these lines upon line, precept on precept, that build us to live our lives with purpose.
For sure.
It's really cool.
You don't even realize he's working on you all along the way.
Right.
And then looking back, you're like, oh my gosh.
Right.
He prepped me.
It's so interesting. So let's switch gears a little bit. Today you serve as a communications director working with different faith groups in the community. Can you tell us what that role looks like, what you're doing?
Yeah. So in my church, I'm the communications director over a geographical area. So not the whole church, just a certain area. And my purpose, the mission behind this job or this calling is to build bridges in the community between different faiths, different faith groups, and different government organizations and different nonprofit organizations, and then just people in the community. And we really believe that the community will be, if we're more united and we find common ground with one another, we'll be a stronger, better community. And it takes all those different areas. It takes churches and politicians and schools and parents and community and businesses to work together, to have a strong community where everybody feels welcome and like it's a happy, good, positive place that families want to come.
In a world that often highlights differences, you focus on finding common ground. Why is that important to you?
Yeah, I think a lot of times with the media and the news, you just see fighting and bickering. But I have found with this job that we have so much in common. Even if we're from different faiths, everybody wants to love their neighbor, and we all want a safe community, and we all want our kids to be happy and to get a good education. And small businesses want it to be a safe community for their business to prosper. And politicians play a huge part in that because the laws and the things that pass affect all of those things. And so I feel like if we can all find things that we have in common, then, we can work together. And there is so much common ground, so much.
What have you learned about people of different faith traditions through this work?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so you might notice I have on a ring, Hesed. It's in Hebrew, and I have on a cross. And some people of my faith are like, what is that? And I just have learned to love different backgrounds, and a lot of our roots go back to the same Holy Land and the same core values. And so I feel like I have learned to feel the Holy Spirit or God's presence when I'm talking to my friends at Hare Krishna or at the Catholic Church. I went to Lent. Was that 2 weeks ago? And it's just so beautiful the way they celebrate, and they want to, at Lent, they sacrifice something to become closer to God. And we try to do that too in different ways. And so, we might do it different, but it's the same thing. And I've loved learning about other religions and just meeting people. I've made dear friends at all of these churches that I hope we're friends forever.
What are some of the biggest challenges when trying to bring diverse communities together?
Great question. It is very challenging. I think people put up barriers nowadays, and with religion, they feel like you're trying to steal their patrons, and
especially when it's a business, when that's how they make their money.
For a lot of patrons, it's their livelihood. That's how they pay their bills. So I can totally see where they're coming from, and with politicians, there's, same thing. It's a career, and it's kind of cutthroat, and, you're getting pulled different ways, and you don't know who's going to backstab you with that. And it's just, but when people really get to know the person, no matter what the job or the religion is, I think, and you build a relationship, like a real relationship, you get to know them, you just think, wow, like we have so much in common, and we all want what's best for the community. So let's just work together, because it's hard. There's a lot of need in different ways in the community, and it's a lot of work, but if there's more of you, it's easier. So I just think, why don't we all work together, and many hands makes light work,
I do this little thing. It's called the Glitter Collective, and I just collect random items, like self-care items, and I put them in a bag, and I put a card with it, and it just says, you are loved, you are seen. If you're having a hard day, just know I'm thinking about you, kind of thing. And I just give them randomly to people in the parking lot, just women. And some people are very resistant. They say, I don't want whatever you have. Step back. And I'm like, I'm 5'2" in a glitter jacket. Like, what do you think I'm going to do, right? And then some are very receptive. They start crying. They give me a hug. They're grateful. So I guess it's that same kind of thing. Like, are they open to the idea, or are they completely closed off?
Totally.
And it's only through, now if I knew those people, they would say, oh, hi, how are you? And I would say, here's a bag. So if you have that relationship, it does make it easier to have those conversations and develop relationships.
Exactly.
Yes. If people truly understood one thing about interfaith collaboration, what do you think it would be?
Oh, one thing. That if we all work together, we could move things a lot faster. We can make miracles happen, Like you can move mountains with just a bunch of faith-filled women.
You really
from
can.
all different faiths. Like there's power in numbers. And so, just, break down those barriers, come together, and just small things. We could do something small together, like a little service project, but it would make a huge difference for an organization.
Yes. You also clearly work very closely with justserve.org to coordinate service projects in the Valley. Tell us about that partnership. What is Just Serve?
Okay, Just Serve is phenomenal. So I feel like most people in the world are so good and so amazing, and they want to serve, but there's a few reasons why they don't. One, they don't know where to start. They don't know where to look. They don't know what the need is. Two, it's overwhelming. You see the news, and you're just like, the world is just falling, and you just feel this sorrow, and it's just too much. So then you're just, you just give up. And a third reason, I think, is because women, as we often do, we doubt ourselves. Or, these little thoughts of fear come in, or, I don't have a degree, I'm not eloquent, all these thoughts come in, and you're like, what can I do? I can't do anything. And then you freeze out of fear. So justserve.org, I feel like, helps with all of that. So it's free. It's free for the person who wants to volunteer, and it's free for the organizations that need help and want to post their projects. So it's a website and an app. And it's global. It's in like 17 countries now, I think. And you can get on, and as a person who wants to volunteer, you can find a project. And for the organization, the nonprofit or government agency or community that needs help, they can post their project for free too. So it's for both ends of the aisle. And you get on, it's very user friendly. It's so simple. You get on, you find a project in your area, and it's endless, the possibilities. If it's too overwhelming, right, to go downtown into an area you're unfamiliar with, that's uncomfortable, that's okay. You can find a project where you can just drop something off. Or if you feel like you can do more, there's ones that, there's a greater need where you can jump in and deliver food every week, or, take a kid in the foster care under your wing. So it's amazing.
I love Just Serve. It's actually a platform that I push quite a lot. I really love it. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I had mentioned it to a friend of mine who lives in Boston, Massachusetts. And I met her last summer here in Las Vegas at a competition we were in together. And she said, tell me about this Just Serve. And so I told her, and she's not a member of our church at all. And she went on to Just Serve and she found Lasagna Love. And she said, I can make lasagna. I can do that. And she found a man who is in his late 80s, a veteran. And she called Arthur and she brought him lasagna. And she has brought him meals every month, freezer meals, ever since. And she sends me pictures of Arthur. And I thought if everybody could find an Arthur in their community, she checks in on him, she brings him meals, she checks to make sure he's okay. And I really love that she used Just Serve to find Lasagna Love or whatever the thing was. And I've put many projects on there as well. It's very easy to use. Yep. If your kids need community service for school, just you type in your zip code and it pulls up all the different projects. It can be donations. It can be you go and do a project for a few hours. So definitely very user friendly. You often collaborate, you kind of brushed on this already, with local politicians. Why are they so important?
They're crucial for our communities. The laws and policies that pass make a huge difference on our lives and our families' lives and for businesses. And I think it's important that we build the bridges now and those relationships and find common ground now, because you don't know what laws and policies might end up passing. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's shocking, right? 50 years ago, we wouldn't have thought about things that are happening now.
Right.
And that's how it's going to be 50 years down the road, right? So, and like I said, so many religions and people in the community believe the same things. And so if a law was to pass that affected all of us, we already have those bridges built. We call each other. We have this huge network to go and stand up before our politicians and say, none of us want this, you know? One experience that I've seen where it worked out so beautifully was there was, I think it was in Henderson, and they wanted to build, I think it was a synagogue. Mm-hmm. And the neighbors didn't want it, and people were going to their politicians and fighting it, protesting it, and the land was, what they were doing was legal. It was okay for the synagogue to be built, but people were trying to shut them down. And luckily, they had a relationship with our faith, and we were able to go in and help them. And then, they can turn around and return the favor. And then when we try to build a church or a temple and people protest it, that relationship is there. And we support each other's faiths, and we want everybody to worship how they want to. And so we support each other. And so... I love that. What are some service projects that you're involved with currently? I've looked at so many that you sent over to me. They're all fantastic. Give me your top 3. I couldn't believe how many you're actually involved with. So give me your top 3 that you're working with right now and what they are. Okay, there's so many amazing nonprofits in town that people would just love to work with. But one that's really important is Operation Home. There are so many homeless people in the community. And so they heavily vet the people and families, and on their end, they work on getting the houses for them to live in. But on our end, legally, you can't put a homeless person in a home if they don't have the basic necessities. So on our end, we do Operation Homeless Kit, and we put together these kits that when the people get presented, the families, to this beautiful new place, we give them 3 kits. And there's a kitchen kit, a cleaning kit, and a bathroom kit. And we put those kits together. And it's, this simple thing, but it takes a lot of people and a lot of hands, and lots of people volunteer. So I love that project. Another one, organization that we've been working with the last couple of years is Spread the Word Nevada. Love it. I love kids. I love all ages of children. And so any project that helps children is near and dear to me. But Spread the Word Nevada, they bring books into low-income areas, children at risk. And it's one of those things, I have so many books at my house. So you don't even think about this need, but there's kids that have never touched a book. And they're going to school. Here in town, it's crazy. So you can donate used books, or you can go down to they have a beautiful new facility, and you can go help clean books. You can also volunteer to read to children down there for story time. Their new facility, I should give them a little shout out. It is big and beautiful. So like a company could go in and host a company party and have a little service project while they're there. Anyways, wonderful organization. I work with iTalent to donate blood, which is crucial in our community. Yes, we do 4 blood drives a year with them, and they're amazing. Another thing we do every year is September 11th, 9/11 Day, Day of Remembrance and Service. And so that's one where we work with a lot of politicians, and we find a local park and we clean it up together. And that one I love because it's just people from all over.
Anybody can do it.
Coming together and cleaning up our areas, and it's fun. So that's a great one.
Are these all on Just Serve, if I was to go look them up?
Yes, there are so many projects on Just Serve. And I mean, you could also Google, nonprofit organizations and give them a call and say, what can I do for you? But Just Serve makes it so easy.
It really does.
Easy to find one. Another one that I just did a project for last month is the Foster Kinship organization, and there are so many kids in foster care in Nevada. I know Child Haven is overwhelmed with children.
They always are.
So we just did a project where we made birthday kits for them, and so it was really inexpensive. Birthday cake mix, just the box, the frosting, the cake pan, and a little toy. And then all the kids that go through their program get a little birthday bag. And so that was a fun project too.
That is amazing. I love all of those. The book one is really interesting to me because even in new schools, like especially the charter schools, they don't have libraries.
Yes.
That's kind of old school. And so it's like these kids just don't they're always on screens and doing computer work. So I love that they have, a book.
Yes.
So that's a great one. You had also talked about is it the Crystal Apple?
Yes, the Crystal Apple
Can you tell me about that one?
Yeah, so I didn't come up with that idea. They have our church has been doing that in Southern California, I think for like 30 years. And so when I was made the communications director, they presented the idea to me and said, we'd love to start doing that in our community. So I researched it. I loved what they were doing. So I thought, we could do this. And this is something that can pull everybody in from different walks of life and just show gratitude, which always lifts spirits. So we do the Crystal Apple Awards once a year. And what we do is any high school student can nominate a teacher from any grade, K through 12, a teacher that inspired them or taught them to love to read or took them under their wing and, or taught them kindness or patience. So they have to write a short essay about why they're nominating that teacher, and then we find that teacher. So sometimes they've moved, or they're not teaching, or they're at a different school. So we hunt them down, we find them, and then we put on a beautiful award ceremony. So we have beautiful food, and it's decorated, and we bring in politicians and CCSD trustees and faith leaders, and the principals come, and we just shower these teachers with love. And it's a great opportunity because the kids see that giving gratitude is, amazing, and they get to give a little speech in front of everybody, and just watching the teachers, emotion is just incredible. It's a beautiful evening.
I haven't been to it, but I did see the nominations go out, and I thought that's a really great idea, especially because it's student driven. It's not peer, it's not the people you work with peer driven. So I think that really means a lot too. It's kind of like getting the congeniality award. Yep. That's like the hardest award to get, and it's like the most meaningful.
It is.
So there was one project that you have been involved with, and it was last year I went, it was the first year our community did this, and it was called Walk with Christ.
Walk with Jesus.
Walk with Jesus. And it was just at our stake, like a building, a church building, and I didn't really know what I was going to initially.
I think people were confused. What is this?
What is this?
What
and
is this?
I found this to be one of the most remarkable and moving moments that I have ever felt religiously.
Yes.
And it's just a walkthrough of his life, of Jesus Christ's life. And the way that the rooms were set up was very well thought out. It was well organized. It was planned beautifully. And I'm not sure, in our religion, we like to say the Spirit was there, but there was a peace there that was in that building during this walk. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how it brings in other religious people or people that are non-religious? Did you have any experiences last year that really brought this to your attention?
So many amazing stories I could tell you. So the goal behind that event was to strengthen our own members in our own church, but it was also to bring in the community and just celebrate the Savior Jesus Christ and his atonement all together. So to just focus on that common ground and come together, open to the public, anybody could come. And before it happened, we went to, I believe it was 56 other churches and invited them. And some of them, put up that wall and we're like, absolutely not. They think we're going to steal their patrons. And so we just tried to explain that this is just coming together and celebrating Jesus together. My favorite part of the whole event was listening to the other church leaders, the pastors, the priests, bear their testimony of Jesus Christ in our chapel. We had the Baptist church come with their guitars and drums and perform. Hare Krishna came and did this little bell ceremony. It was just so many different beautiful things. So Hare Krishna, I just want to share this little miracle.
Yes, please do.
So they were sitting in the VIP seating for the show, and we had different community performers come in that weren't of our faith, and so one of them was this group of flutists. I've never seen
flautists.
I've never seen 6 flutes play together, right? Usually it's a flute and a cello and all the instruments. So they got up there and I thought, this is so weird. I've never just seen 6 flutes or whatever. And I was sitting with Hare Krishna and they all of a sudden were freaking out. They were grabbing me. They were like, oh my gosh, this is meant to be. And I was like, what is it? And they pulled up on their phone and they said, in our religion, God plays the flute. And so they showed me that in all the pictures representing him, he's playing a flute. And I just thought, wow, we have this long event with performers coming nonstop. And the only performers right before they speak is this group. Like, what are the chances, And they just kept hugging me and they were like, wow, like this was meant to be. And they felt like God was talking to them. And that's how it was throughout the planning, the execution, the event, the cleanup. I just saw God's hand throughout the whole event. And I really think that he was happy that we were just coming together and loving each other and putting our differences aside. And it was amazing. We ended up having 6,200 people attend last year.
Do you feel like you were prepared for that many? The lines were long. I do remember that.
If you build it, they will come.
Yes, it was that moment.
I think people that were doing it with me they thought just, people in our stake would come in our congregation. And I kept thinking, I think people will come. I hope they will. And I thought, I'm sure we'll start small. And then my dream was that each year it would get bigger and more churches would come and even maybe next year they would host it and we would help them. Like, that's my dream. Definitely God made that happen. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to build it. You're going to have to, I don't know, crowd control this year, appointments or something. It was, I just remember being, even my son, he's 11 and was kind of like, he didn't know what he was going into, didn't really care. And when he left, he was just quiet and he said, that was really special.
Yeah, you read, growing up, if you are of a faith, you read these stories in a book, but and sometimes you forget, like, oh, this is someone's real life. This happened. And so then when you walk through it and you can see the scenes and it looks real, it's a great reminder that, wow, this really happened. He loves me.
I remember walking through it as well, and I'm like, whoever put this on, this was like their life's work. They've been prepared to do this, and that was you. So well done. Well done. It was beautiful. Anybody in the community that is looking for something this Easter, even if you're not religious, but you want to know what Easter is about more than the Easter bunny, come and see.
Come and see.
You don't have to do anything. You just walk through and you can go home.
Yep.
Nobody's going to bug you.
Yeah. The music portion, a lot of people think the line was long. So this year it's going to be 4 days. So I'm hoping to spread that out. And then if you want to just listen to the beautiful music from different faiths performing, you can just enter on the exiting side and go sit in the chapel. Just listen for however long you want and leave. And so this year too, we have, a choir and symphony from out north, the north part of town, coming, and they are incredible. A lot of times they perform at Artemis Ham Hall with Jenny Oaks Baker, the renowned violinist. And then on Friday, we have 2 shows performing The Lamb of God, which is one of the most exquisitely written music, and they're performing that in New York right now, I know. So that will be on Friday. So we have amazing, beautiful music, and we have the company Haven Light that works with a lot of the renowned artists all over the world, Christian artists that paint pictures of the Savior and God. They're coming, and they are bringing a full exhibit from Utah and with amazing art. So it's going to be, and we have a couple surprises. We'll have a big thing out in the parking lot. We have a few new things inside as well. But one of my favorite things we're doing this year is a service project. Awesome. So we, a couple times a year, we help fill the pantry at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton's Catholic Church. And so we've invited their priest to come bear testimony, and we are going to do a food drive and hygiene drive for their pantry. So if you can't bring anything, that's okay. Just still come to the walk. But if you're able to bring something, we're going to have a place out in the parking lot where you can just drop it off. And even 1 bottle of shampoo or, a box of cereal, whatever you have, we'd love it. So
I love that you're partnering to do even more in the community. You have 4 kids. How do you balance everything that you do? I know that can be difficult for women. Some women I work with a lady, she has 3 jobs, she's a single mom. How do you balance it all? And the second part of this question is, if you are that mom who's single, who has children, who is working, who is barely staying alive, how can they serve?
Great question. So I am very lucky. I don't have to work. So I get to stay home with my kids, and I am well aware that, that's a lot easier than I can't imagine. I don't know how those working moms do it. Like, hats off to them. Incredible women. But still, I do get so overwhelmed sometimes. You wake up, and if you slept that night or you're awake all night just thinking of your to-do list the next day and worrying about your kids and worrying about your husband and, all the things. But I think first things first. That's what I try to do. So if I wake up in the morning and connect with God, however I am going to do that, and just ask him, what do you need me to do today? And, put my priorities in order. Somehow it just works out. And sometimes if it is falling apart and I think, oh my gosh, I'm not prepared for this project and I'm supposed to meet with this church or this politician and my kid is, struggling right now, I just have faith. It's going to be okay. I'm going to keep moving forward, because sometimes that fear is all consuming and then you just kind of stop or get apathetic and freeze. But if I just keep moving, I just trust God's going to make it work. Like with the Walk with Jesus last year, it was a lot. There's a lot of moving parts to that, the security, the ushering, the air conditioning, all the things, But I just prayed and was like, I'm just going to keep moving. And I know he's going to make it work. So,
And then how would you help or give advice to somebody who feels overwhelmed in a different way than you do, who's trying to provide food for their children and who's barely hanging on? How can they serve? Where can they start?
So the thing about service is, right, you think it's for someone else, but there's kind of a selfish side to service, because sometimes being a woman is hard and you just kind of get in a rut and you just feel, and all those thoughts creep in. So sometimes I think I'm going to go serve for me because I need a little rush of dopamine and it makes me feel good, right? So it's kind of like working out.
It's the best drug ever.
Yes, it is the best. I need a little hit of dopamine. So you go serve for a selfish reason. It's going to make me feel better. It's going to put my priorities and my perspective back in order. And and for my kids, we are always worried about our kids. And when you're struggling and you have a hard life, then it's even harder. So for my kids, I want them to go serve for selfish reason for them so that they, will be able to get through their hard times. So,
it definitely gives them purpose. And I know that in my darkest times, and I've had some really dark times, it was never this huge act of service. Nobody came and scooped me up and just made it all happen. It was always the small and simple acts of others. It was a ride for my child. It was a text. How are you doing? Yep. That sort of thing. And I think sometimes as women, we think that it does need to be this grand gesture.
Yes.
If you are working hard for your children, if you smile at somebody, if you just ask somebody how they are, but really mean it, you are serving the community. A smile can go a long way, and those are free.
Yep.
Those are free.
Yeah, there's some women, working as the communications director and with Just Serve, I have met incredible people. And sometimes I think, oh my gosh, I am not that incredible. I can't do that. And I can't. And that's okay. But I can do something.
You can do something.
Everybody can do something.
Right.
And and as the person behind the scenes who's planning the events, I know nobody's going to show up with a truckload of food, a semi-truck, but I just will pray and think, I need 50 moms to drop off one bag
of something,
of some soup, canned soup, right? And that's all I'm praying for. And they do, one mom will show up with a box of crackers and soup, and the next one shows up with a box of cereal, and they answered my prayers. And so it does not have to be huge. It just has to be something small. And then when a bunch of people do that, it moves mountains.
It really does. So this is the question I ask everybody at the end of our interviews. What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, I hope everybody who meets me or knows me knows that I am a follower of Jesus Christ and that I tried. I'm not perfect, but I tried to live my life that way. I hope my kids know that, and I hope my kids know that being a mother was my greatest work.
That was beautiful. Thank you for interviewing with me today, Michelle. I really appreciate you.
Thank you, Jules. You are amazing. I have watched you. You're one of the women that I have watched from afar, and I just think, man, she has been through it, and you just keep smiling and going, and you're amazing. So
thank you.